So we got a question here from Ryder, who says that he's wondering how long a beginner should train before they compete. So he is a beginner and he's wondering how long he should be training before he decides to compete. So this is something that comes up a lot because people are sort of wondering a lot of times, because competitions can be nerve-wracking, and that nervousness can a lot of times make people question, like, right, am I ready yet? And so people are a lot of times looking for this sort of magical number, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever that might be, of when should I compete, right? When's the right time? And so for me, I'm not a good example because I wrestled first, and so I competed in jiu-jitsu about 2 weeks afterwards. I wrestled, and then I also was obsessed with fighting, so I kind of had a fairly decent idea conceptually of what's going on in grappling, sometimes more so than the people that start now, because people start now, they see it, right, and they immediately get into it, so they have a little bit less sort of knowledge coming into it than maybe the people back in the day, because back in the day you had to search for it. Now people are getting into it and a lot more green around in the situation. So what I would say is, if you have not done anything grappling related and you don't know anything at all, don't get fixated on time so much, right? Because time isn't really indicative of what you know, right? It comes down to more about, are you prepared for the situation? And the way that I typically tell my beginners, and the way that I've stressed on this channel several times, is if you're trying to get ready for a competition as a beginner, one is to simply identify at least one technique or series of techniques from every major position, right? And so in my, I have a free resource for you if you want it. If you go to my website, there's like a game plan guide. It's free, you can download it. And in there, I share one of my game plans that I've used in tournaments before, which is absolutely true. You can literally look through it and see all the moves that I do in tournaments. And I sort of give you an outline, an idea of like how you could piece your game together. And you want to make sure that you have from the major positions, like right guard, full guard, like how to pass, how to sweep from there, how to break the guard, how to escape from all the major positions, mount, side control, back mount. I also consider full guard kind of a bad position, so I consider that more of an escape. How to guard pass, how to sweep, how to submit from the bottom if you need to, how to submit from the top, where are you going to submit from the top, and how are you going to get there, and basically having a roadmap for yourself. Now what will happen is when you get into the tournament, it may not actually play out like that, but having that sort of that guide for yourself will put you at ease and allow you to sort of improvise on the fly if you need to. Now, the second thing that I would say to you is, besides having the game plan in place, when you decide to compete, you can't put much pressure on yourself in the beginning. And I say this because, like, my first wrestling match, I lost. And I know plenty of people who started their grappling careers off by losing. And so you cannot go into it, don't go into it with any expectation. Just do that, okay? Like, and I say that because a lot of people, I had a student, for instance, this is a guy, I really like the guy and I really wish he would have stuck with it. He would do all these posts on Instagram and Facebook, and you know, he was a white belt, he'd been training for a few months at the time, and he was getting ready for these tournaments, and he would go through this whole shebang on social media and stuff like that, and he was training relatively hard, and he would lose these tournaments. Now he competed in like 2 tournaments, and he lost in both of them. And I think that losing that he had deflated his enthusiasm for it, because he was expecting to go in there and be the killer, because he'd kind of built himself up, and then when he went in there and lost, he kind of, it's like a deflated balloon. He quit, and he's done other stuff. He's doing well for himself, but I think that he probably would have stuck with it had he just, you know what, I'm not really going to put too much into this. I'm just going to expose myself to it and see what happens. And so if you compete, I tell my students all the time. The first 3 tournaments, I don't even care what happens. I'm more interested in you getting out there and doing it, and coming back and experiencing the situation, and then continuing to train, because that's a big one. I've seen plenty of people who get really deflated when they get out there and compete, and they run into a roadblock, right? So go out there, see what happens, and then come back, and then you're going to know what you're actually training for. And then after a couple tournaments, you'll be able to sort of piece together, again, your game plan, make sure that you've got it in place, as well as being comfortable, or at least a little bit more comfortable with the nerves and how to deal with them. And so again, as far as time goes, don't get so fixated on time. Think about your game plan. Do you know stuff that you can use, for like all those different positions? Because I've seen people be successful from tournaments like who didn't know much about grappling within like a month and a half, just because they were in the gym all the time and they just had a knack for it. And then I've seen other people train for like 6 months and lose their first tournament. It's less about time and training and more just about one, getting out there doing it, and then making sure that you're prepared properly for that situation. And I said, like I said, game plan's a big one, and then making sure that you don't go in there with any sort of crazy expectations for yourself. Go in there ready to have a learning experience and just try your best. And this way you can improve upon that, and again, go for the long haul. Because again, if you're thinking about competing, you can't think that I'm just doing this one competition. This is a part of a ongoing thing that might last 10, 15, 20 years. We never know, right? So don't think about just this one. Think about I'm competing today so that I can become better for tomorrow. All right, I'm done talking, guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for the question, brother.